Hello and good evening. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday service. My name is Rev Claudia Renee, and it's my honor and privilege to be serving on the spiritual leadership team. And welcome to our service. Welcome to Unity Naples, and welcome world to this service. This is a most auspicious evening because we are also celebrating Unity World Day of Prayer. And in honor of that, we have a very special guest that we will have join us here. And Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett is joining us this evening. And what I can tell you about Reverend Linda is that Linda is an award-winning author of How to Pray Without Talking to God. She is an inspiring Unity minister and spiritual teacher. Her second book is, I love this book, it's Divine Audacity, Dare to be the Light of the World, where she promotes humanity's innate capacities with which to respond to life circumstances and spiritual maturity, something that I believe is so relevant right now. We're looking forward to Reverend Linda's third book, This Life is Yours. Discover your power, claim your wholeness, and heal your life. And this book is co-authored with her daughter, Alicia Whitsett. And it's actually now in print. So yay. Linda served Unity of San Antonio as their senior minister for 14 years before becoming vice president of Unity Prayer Ministry, Silent Unity, Unity's 24/7 worldwide prayer ministry. Welcome, Reverend Linda. We're so very grateful to have you here today.
Well, it feels like quite an honor to be with you all on World Day of Prayer, especially.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as we, at Unity of Naples this month, the entire month, our topic is the power of prayer, and celebrating World Day of Prayer, I thought we would begin with a prayer. And I think that you have a very special one to share with us, Linda.
Yes. So World Day of Prayer theme this year is All is Well with My Soul. And the affirmation that we all hope to hold during this 24-hour period is, no matter the circumstances, all is well with my soul. And here is our guiding prayer. I invite you to just unite with me as we turn in our awareness. In this holy moment, I pause to breathe and to open. I open my mind to know the nature of God and my divine nature. I open my heart to experience the silent yet certain reality of infinite life, love, and creativity. No matter what is happening at any moment in the world around me or within my experience, I am not subject to its effects. I am not my circumstances or my experiences. I am wholly divine, and all is well with my soul. I sink into the still waters, the state of perfect peace where nothing can interrupt or displace the flow of life, love, and creativity. In this state of awareness, I rest. I renew. I blossom. I thrive. Steeped in joyful appreciation now, I celebrate my ever-expanding capacity to know that all is well with my soul. I choose to live, love, and create well. And so it is. And so it is.
And so it is. And so we continue in this energetic for a moment, allowing this prayer to have full sway with us. And then we listen to this inspirational music by our very own Amy and Jesse.
Good evening, wisdom seekers. We're so grateful to be here with you on this special night. I love that the theme of this year's Unity World Day of Prayer is all is well with my soul. It's such an important message for everyone to hear, especially right now. This song is our take on that beautiful mantra, inspired by our Unity community here in Naples, Florida, and the spiritual growth that we've experienced here. This is All Is Well. Enjoy. Take me to a green pasture, lay me by still waters, back to the beginning, deep within my soul. Plant me in the middle, shower me with sunlight, lift me up from under, teach me how to grow. And all is well, all is well. Listen to the Spirit whisper, all is well. All is well, all is well.
Walking through the valley, I know there's no evil, no amount of darkness can overtake the light. In all of God's creation, I may be a droplet, a ripple in the ocean, can touch waves that touch the sky. All is well, all is well. In silence you can hear it whisper, all is well. All is well, all is well.
Look whose hand you're holding. It's another mind that's knowing all is well.
Open up your eyes and look what you've become. The mother and the daughter, the father and the son. You were made from starlight, raised to chase the sunshine, dancing through the universe, part of everyone. All is well, all is well. Listen to the Spirit whisper, all is well. All is well, all is well. In silence you can hear it whisper, all is well. All is well, all is well.
Ooh. And so we take a breath together. And as we breathe in, we whisper to the self, all is well. All is well. All is well. And we begin to bring our attention and awareness back. Oh my gosh, we can do a silent celebration. Thank you, Amy and Jesse, for that beautiful song. And and how grateful I am. So this is just something I'm so grateful for, to have this conversation with you today, Linda, as we discuss World Day of Prayer. And our main topic will end up being, the power of prayer in our lives, but silent unity. And so is there anything that you want to share, first of all, with regard to World Day of Prayer? Because that's something that you facilitate and create. Can you tell us a little bit about that for this year, aside from the theme?
Well, this is the second year in a row that World Day of Prayer will be entirely a virtual experience. In the past years, there was a big celebration on the grounds at Unity Village, and big in the sense that really there was just a local community there, but still there were lots of people and communities that were tied in through live streaming and such. But once we had to close for the pandemic a year ago, we went entirely virtual, and it was so successful, for the fact that people could tune in from wherever. We had more participation last year than probably ever, because everyone was virtual. And so we found that was very valuable, and really grateful that early in the year we decided to keep it virtual again this year. And now we're seeing that was pretty important, where there's certain states, and Missouri is one of them, where we're having new safety measures and things like that. So so it's really been an exciting feature, because we have the potential to have so many more speakers and musicians participate than we did when they had to fly into Unity Village live, right? So the depth and the breadth of the message for World Day of Prayer has just expanded.
Yeah, well, what a great gift it is, because it truly has a worldwide reach, and the power of collectively tapping into that, I think, is something that is so necessary right now. And so just for our community and those who may be here, how do we tap into that, into World Day of Prayer? And then I'll share a little bit about what we're doing here locally as well.
Yes, because I do know many communities have something, a local series of activities related to World Day of Prayer, but we also have the capacity to tune in to what's happening, from Unity Worldwide, or World Headquarters, out of Unity Village. And so you could join in a Zoom room for the opening ceremony, which is 7 p.m. Central Time on next Wednesday evening. And you can do that. There's a link that's going to show up here on the screen for World Day of Prayer. If you go to World Day of Prayer, you'll see that there's a place to just click through and register for the Zoom link. And you can be linked with people all around the world for that hour of music and message and prayer, that I think will be a very inspiring way to kick off your own prayer vigil for the next 24 hours.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we've also encouraged our community to do is to go to that link, and you can actually light a virtual candle, which we think is fun, because it illuminates on a map, and it will show the prayer that you lit as you did that virtual lighting. And so that's something we're encouraging our community to do. And those who are here in the Naples area, we will be joining a little bit earlier. So you could actually do both, really. We'll be starting in our sanctuary at 6, is it 6 or 6:30? I think it's 6:30. And it'll be both Wednesday and Thursday, so tonight and tomorrow night. And we will be having a candle lighting. We will have prayer chaplains who will be praying and accepting prayers. We'll have an anointing. So we're having both an opening and a closing ceremony. So if you are local, please do stop by Unity of Naples, and we would love to have you there. And we will be taking home with us that 24-hour World Vigil of Prayer, kicking it off on those 2 nights. So anyway, wonderful. So one of the things that we also, it says 6 o'clock. Okay, thank you. One of the things that we really wanted to talk about, because so I came to know you, gosh, I would say several years ago, probably close to 10, but not quite, I would say, at the Great Lakes Regional Conference. And I was serving another Unity community at that time, became familiar with your books. I've used your books in prayer classes that I teach, acknowledging you, love the work that you're doing, and then was so thrilled when I learned that you joined Silent Unity. And so just tell me a little bit about how you came to be with Silent Unity and what the inspiration of your heart was to join Silent Unity.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. I will say that I'm going back an entire decade right now. It was in September, like September 7th to 10th, one of those dates a decade ago, that How to Pray Without Talking to God was launched, my very first book. So it's been a whole decade of focus on prayer for me. And of course, before I actually wrote the book, I was steeped in inner inquiry about prayer, which is what led to the writing of the book. So I have a long-standing, I would say, curiosity always about what prayer is and what it means to me and what its effects are and all of that. So it became really a natural progression at a time when I had been at one church for 14 years. I was feeling finished with that work, but had no thought about what would come next. When I became aware that Silent Unity was looking for a new vice president, a new executive team member at Unity headquarters. And I didn't even give it a second thought until another minister nudged me and encouraged me to take a look at what that could mean, considering that I had written a book that was being used as a textbook for Unity about prayer. So we had a new CEO just then, Jim Blake, who's now an ordained Unity minister, Reverend Jim. And I just had a conversation with him, a casual conversation. And he dared to ask me about my vision for Unity prayer. And I said to myself, I'm going to lay it on him because I'm pretty radical. I'm pretty progressive. Well, I won't even say pretty. I'm radical. I'm progressive about prayer. I have climbed a mountain in terms of, broadening my own awareness of the potential of prayer in my life and what it could mean as I studied the Fillmores and other Unity leaders from the past. And Jim got very excited because he shared some of what was on my heart about it. And, after a couple of months of doing a lot of questioning and interviewing back and forth and all of that, it became a matter of like, well, when do you want to start? So it's just a beautiful thing to walk in Myrtle Fillmore's shoes. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, literally, I can feel her spirit in the prayer ministry, and it feels like a seminal assignment to me, like a high point, and probably the final way I will offer what I am, formally in Unity. What an honor to be one who helps to shape how Silent Unity remains relevant in the 21st century.
Wow. What an amazing story. I love in a moment when you thought not, when it wasn't part of an agenda that you had for yourself, that there it was, and you received the nudge through a friend, but obviously a divine nudge. And in my mind, I have absolutely no doubt that you are bold. Anyone who titles a book Divine Audacity has to be bold. So thank you for bringing that vision. So tell me, really how that's such an important question, I think, with everything that we do, especially when we're an organization that, came about over a century ago. And so much has changed in our world since then. How do we stay relevant? Languaging is always an issue because our founders, had a different languaging system. So how have you contributed to ensuring that silent unity remains relevant in this world?
Well, I would be jumping ahead to like how we've really updated things from the, if you don't mind going in that direction, because for those who might be unfamiliar with silent unity, some background might help you. But I would say this, that the world is so different today from the world that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were living in the late 1800s when they started this ministry. It's a different world.
Do you want to share that piece now?
Sure, we can take a look. I mean, very briefly at what what happened historically, and then because that question of where we are today and where we're going will make a lot of sense at that point. So maybe if we bring up that first slide of the history, thank you very much. So this is a document a brochure that came out. Several years ago now, at like the 125th anniversary of Silent Unity. I'm not going to read all of this by any means, but just to point out, if you look at the year 1889 as a foundation point, it's the year that Charles and Myrtle first started publishing a Modern Thought magazine. And then just the next year, they started what Silent Unity used to be called, which is the Society of Silent Help. And what they did was invite individuals that would be in touch with them mostly through the mail. At that point, it was through the mail. They invited them to unite with them every night at a certain hour, homes, to hold a prayer vigil, right? So that was sort of the start of it. And then by the year 1902, they actually developed a team of Silent Unity workers and members that were joining Myrtle Fillmore in responding to letters that people would write requesting prayer support. So the very first prayer support was done in writing through snail mail. So you just think about where we are today and how different things are today. That was radical back then. And then in the early 1900s, when phones were rare to be in people's homes, and if you remember party lines, as I do, even as a young girl in the early 60s, this was the way phones were. But Charles and Myrtle were like one of the first businesses in the Kansas City, Missouri area to actually have a phone line. And they hired one person to be at that telephone during the day. And in fact, Charles and Myrtle had a phone in their home just for prayer requests early in the 1900s. So you think about that. And then over the ensuing years, that prayer ministry and the phone system grew rapidly. They were radical. They were trendsetters because no one was doing that in those days, right? And so we went from phones being the phones and letters, because letters continued, and even today continue to be one of the ways people reach out for prayer support through Unity headquarters. But where we are today is just in the last decade. Let me tell you this: we went from 95% of the prayer requests that Silent Unity receives every year, and it's 1.5 million, right? 1.5 million. 95% of those 10 years ago were by telephone.
Oh,
right. We had a few people who, email was pretty new. They were emailing, or we were getting, mailed in letters. Today, 10 years later, phone calls represent 55% of the
Mhm.
ways people reach us. And the dominant way besides the phones is electronically.
Mhm.
So I'm going to show you a little bit later, how you can reach Silent Unity, how you can connect with us and get prayer support. And you'll see the various methods that we have today that are keeping us current with the way communications are happening in the world today. If we had stayed only with telephones, we would become irrelevant very quickly.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
if you're aware of the younger generation, how many times are they picking up a phone and talking? They're chatting. They're electronically focused,
Mhm.
and we have moved the direction of Silent Unity to be present in the places where people are today.
Mhm. Wow, that is fantastic. I know that has taken so much energy, so much vision, flexibility, and quite a team, I'm sure, that has evolved with you. And
Mhm.
one of the things that was always so meaningful to me is I want to talk about the space a little bit first and then go into the impact. But as a student, coming to Unity Village was always so magical and important, and could feel the history and the beauty of the space. And one
Mhm.
of the highlights was always having this opportunity to tour Silent Unity, and as a ministerial student, the opportunity to actually sit vigil. And we had a slide a moment ago with the tower. Can you paint a picture for our audience of the of what it was like? And it's probably changed since I've been there, 5 years ago.
Yep.
And what that is like now, because to me, sitting in that vigil space too, it was so important. But seeing the phone room and the campus and so whatever you can elucidate for us and paint an image for us would be
Sure.
wonderful. Yeah.
Sure. Well, yes, imagine a team of prayer associates taking their turns in a 24-hour schedule, round the
Mhm.
clock, 7 days a week. That there's always a group of associates that are sitting, in the prayer room, the phone room, on the phones, or responding to electronic prayer requests, because we respond personally to every single request. It's not like they just go in a bucket somewhere, right?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
respond. And so prayer associate is sitting there as if they were on the phone when they're responding
Mhm.
electronically. So there's a whole team in there, and there's just this hum of prayer going
Mhm.
on continuously in that space, right? Now that's the way it was when you arrived. We also, every time we pray with you, after we pray with you, we include your name and those that you ask us to pray about. We include your names in the prayer vigil itself. And that is an actual chapel that Reverend Claudia is referring to on the third floor under the cupola in the Silent Unity building at Unity Village. And someone is always in prayer. Like every half an hour, our prayer associates shift, right? One enters the prayer vigil chapel, and one leaves the prayer vigil chapel. And what you were referring to was when we have ministers who are visiting, or licensed Unity teachers who are visiting, they're invited to,
Mhm.
attend the vigil along with one of our associates, to experience and to partner with us in the
Mhm.
world prayer ministry. So imagine this chapel. The front doors, the front cabinets, are walls of the chapel. They're cabinets that open, and there are shelves in there that literally contain all the letters of prayer requests that have come to us, all the cards. If you ever get mail from Unity, there's a prayer request form you can return. All of those forms go in there, and every single day when the mail is opened, anything that's a prayer request. And when churches send in their bulk of prayer requests from their churches, they're put in the bucket for that day. And that bucket stays on the shelves in the vigil for 30 days. And so every single day of every month, there's a team of people that will come and remove the ones that are past the 30-day mark and place in the new ones. Just imagine that, hundreds of thousands of prayer names at any one moment when you're in that vigil. So when you're sitting vigil, you are uplifting all of those intentions high. It's such an amazing experience. That everyone who's had that chance mentions it. So let me flash forward to today, because we've had a pandemic, as you well know. And when we had to close the campus a year and a half ago, last March, we had to close the prayer vigil chapel, the physical chapel. Good thing that we had the autumn before, we had initiated an online vigil, a virtual prayer vigil, which I'm going to show you about in a few minutes. And so all of our prayer associates got assigned to take their slots by logging into the virtual vigil. And they continue to do that today, because 80% of our prayer associates are remaining working from home today. So there's usually no more than 4 or 5 associates sitting in the prayer room, even at our peak hours, because most of them are logging on from home. And they liked it so much, and they were able to do their work seamlessly from home. So we're not requiring them to come back and sit in a seat. It's really great when we have severe weather in the Midwest, which is common in all seasons, right? That we don't have to lose people. They don't have to go out in treacherous weather. They can continue to serve from home. So we have had a makeover since you were there also, and we are now located entirely on the 3rd floor of the Silent Unity building, occupying the original prayer room that was not being used for that for several years when our numbers were swelled, right? But now we're occupying that original prayer room that has the 12 powers and a globe hanging in that room. It's glorious. So it's had a complete makeover. And we have a mix of people who sit in the prayer vigil chapel and others who log in from their homes. But this has really been so cool. What a fulfillment. When you think about a global ministry, well, that's what we are today. That it's not just a localized place, it's global.
Yes, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. And, you know, it's global at the speed of light now, right? No time, no space, no distance, truly, which reflects consciousness that there's no time, space, or distance. And so isn't that beautiful how that has outpictured or demonstrated and how we're able to connect instantaneously through prayer. And what I want to share with our local community, I mean, Unity of Naples is now a global community as well. And that I just want to share with you that I hope you get, that you can sense what we're talking about here, that energy, that vibratory field of that prayer consciousness, that collective prayer consciousness. And that's when you fill out a prayer request in our sanctuary or send one in, because we receive them as well electronically. That goes to our local prayer chaplain team and silent prayer team. And then we take those and we add it to what Reverend Linda was just talking about. It goes to silent unity. And so your prayer is prayed with locally, and then it enters into the silent unity process for 30 days. So thanks so much for painting that picture. And I could really feel what's happened, that we are meeting the need, being relevant here and now. And so, you know, so I'm curious, you have this unique position, Linda, in which you can, and I'm sure you could write books about this and probably have or are, the impact of that. What is that impact that you've witnessed in your personal life of the power of prayer, but that in your role as vice president of Silent Unity that you also witness to globally?
For me personally, the impact of prayer, I wouldn't be involved in prayer if it didn't have an impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And increasingly, the impact for me is present moment maturity.
Mm.
It's being able to respond to what's right in front of me, what's happening right now, without overreacting, without it being just a purely human-like emotional response,
Mm-hmm.
and from being able to very quickly, connect with that part of me that is eternal, ineffable, wise,
Mm-hmm.
strong, right? All the spiritual qualities fully intact. To be able to, as Charles Fillmore called it, to pivot. He referred to our power of mind as a pivotal power. To be able to do that, it's from practice, right? It's prayer practice that builds that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's like natural. It's like I don't have to sit in formal prayer in order for that to happen, but the practice of prayer and meditation leads toward, I would say, applied wisdom, right? Applied capacity in any moment. And what I see in Silent Unity that is dramatic at times is the impact when things are happening in the world, like Hurricane Ida. Oftentimes, Silent Unity is the first to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Before it's on the news, even, we're getting notices, people calling when there's a terrible tragedy that happens, when somebody gets shot, when there's a, when 9/11 was just a heartache of a load on Silent Unity. The calls were, just very hard emotionally for prayer associates. The work they had to do to stay really centered in the midst of some of the real horrors that we have seen in the last decade, even the last year and a half, all around the election issues and the Black Lives Matter, those things, really heart-wrenching phone calls around that. Well, in other words, Silent Unity meets the need when the need is so pressing and so consequential, right? So consequential to people right where they are. And it's a daunting thing. And yet the work of self-care that we are constantly harping about and constantly working on with all those associates that are the ones on the phones taking those calls is really so that they can steady themselves in the midst of sometimes very swirling and, multiplicity of issues. We got calls about Afghanistan and the hurricane and the fires all happening, all at the same time. So, but the impact is the kind of letters we get back and the kind of email responses we get back from those we pray with. They just, they develop such a potent relationship with Silent Unity because they feel upheld. They feel like because Silent Unity prayed with them, they are more able to be able to meet their life in a way that is empowered. To me, that's the impact.
And when we do that one at a time and then hundreds of thousands at a time, that creates that ripple effect so that when we're meeting our lives from that spiritual maturity that you're speaking of, then it expands and it impacts all of those in our lives, in our vicinity. So we couldn't quantify it because we don't know. it extends and goes beyond what we may know. And it's wonderful that you get letters back, so that you have a sense of it. And there's a mystery, I believe, to it, but I know that it matters. And so thank you so much for the work that you've done at Silent Unity and in the world to support those of us who are offering prayer to our local communities as well. And so we lean into Unity Worldwide, we lean into Silent Unity and ourselves so that we may be a beneficent presence in the world. So yes, thank you so much. I know that there may be a couple of little more details because we definitely want our audience to know how to submit a prayer request. And then I'll share for the local community how to do that. And then I have one thing I want to say before we close to kind of circle back to the beginning, but we'll do that after this.
Good. Well, I'm very excited to be able to share with you the various ways that you can connect with Silent Unity and receive prayer support. As I said, 55% of our daily prayer requests come in by telephone. So make note of this number. Just put it in your, just get your device out right now. Get your phone out and add this number. And you can, just click on that number and call through to Silent Unity anytime, day or night, 816-969-2000. We do have an 800 number that we used to publicize, but most people don't have to pay extra for long distance. And we do if you call us on the 800 number. So if you have the 800 number and you can replace it with this local number, it sure would make a difference to us over time with the costs involved, right? The other thing that you can do, of course, is go to the web page, which you'll see here on the slide also, unity.org/prayer, and you can just email right through there a prayer request. So those are two really simple ways to get to us, and there's more. So the next slide will show another beautiful thing that gives you lots more than just the ability to request prayer is the You Pray app. You can download that on your device from wherever your app store is. It's free, of course. You can submit a prayer request. You can actually listen to audio prayer meditations. You can select among a bunch of different topics of affirmations for yourself. It's a beautiful thing to have right on hand. And again, your prayer request will click right through to our prayer team when you submit it. And another thing we invite you to, if you are on Facebook, we converted our daily Unity prayer service from local and in the Silent Unity Chapel to Facebook. So every day there's a 5-minute prayer service at 11 a.m. Central Time at Be Unity. You can see the link right there. Now, if you can't do it right at that hour, which is noontime here in Florida, if you can't do it then, they're archived. So at some point during every weekday, you can go to Be Unity and you can give yourself a beautiful pause of 5 minutes for a prayer and inspiration. So we'd love you to participate in that. You can add a prayer request in the comments there, and our prayer associates will find it and will respond to you. So we try to meet you where you are. Beautiful. All right. So continuing on, there's another thing that you can do. And this is something great for prayer teams to do, is to download the monthly prayer service script. And that you can find here again at the unity.org/prayer. And then you can click on the prayer services. And there's one for every month of every year you could download, and you can all be sort of on the same page with the affirmations and all of that. In fact, those affirmations are the same ones that appear in the daily word for that month. So they're coordinated, but the service script has a little more prayer content to it. All right. So that's another way that you and your teams actually can benefit. Wonderful. And then I think there's one more thing, this is a very exciting. I mentioned this earlier, that we have, it's actually a web-based app. So what I would recommend you would do is on your phone, if you use that, or on your iPad, if you use something like that, to go to the website, unityprayervigil.org. And from that page, it will prompt you to download the icon onto your device. So that way you don't have to go, to a computer in order to log in. When you click into unityprayervigil.org and enter your email address, you're agreeing to our vigil guidelines, just a few things that you'll see there. And then when you click into pray, it's when you're going to start your meditation yourself. You push pray, and you will see a representation of the actual prayer vigil doors that you see here on this screen, and those doors will open for you. The doors will open, and in front of you will be the prayer vigil altar, as you see inside of this screen here. And so you will envision yourself sitting in the actual prayer vigil chapel at that time, along with the prayer associate who is assigned to the vigil at that hour. It's remarkable. And you can sit there for your 30 minutes or as long as you have time for your prayer time or meditation time. And then you click when you're complete. And you'll be able to see a map on this app as well, of where around the world other people have been sitting in this vigil over the previous 24 hours. So you'll see again how linked we are in a global prayer ministry. It's so exciting. And I hope you will do that, especially for World Day of Prayer, because just to know that you are in vigil with us during this 24-hour period will just mean everything to us and also to the world. It's a concentration of consciousness.
And that shifts the world. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Raise and praise to you and to Silent Unity and to our legacy and foundation of prayer through our founders. I'm so very grateful that we've had this opportunity to connect. I'm so excited about learning how things have changed just in the last, couple years, and how connected we all truly are. At a time in our lives through the pandemic where it felt like there was a great disconnect, so much came into play through our technology to actually ensure that we are connected. And it's wonderful to see how that carries on now to connect us to Silent Unity. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to take a breath. Whew. It was a lot. And one of the things that we've gone total global, and then I want to come back to local. And I believe there was something that you shared. Something that you shared about Naples, I think in particular, perhaps when you wrote your book, I think. Were you in the vicinity here?
Oh, Divine Audacity. Yes. Yes, I have a definite local connection. A dear friend of mine, a Unity minister from London, Ontario, she and her husband have a condo in Naples. And I was given the gift of 3 weeks of being totally alone in their condo in June, I think it was 2013, to begin to write Divine Audacity. And it turned out that I didn't know much about Florida at the time, that it rains pretty much every day. Well, it rained all but 2 days of the 3 weeks. I had envisioned writing half time and going to the beach half time, and I got to write almost full time. And it was glorious. I wrote and wrote, and I sat there watching the rain almost come up to the doorway. It was like such a lot of rain that year. But yet I have such a sweet connection with Naples because of that So, and now I live, up in Bradenton, just 3 hours away, I think it is. And I'm so grateful to be
Yes.
close by, but I can continue to work from home as so many of us have been able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful. I thank you for sharing that story with our Unity Naples audience. I think that's lovely. We're definitely connected. We're happy that you're in the vicinity. I chose to move here during the summer. So I'm experiencing it and I'm loving it. And so I'm so very grateful to be here. I want to say to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Please avail yourself of all the resources that we've provided. We'll endeavor to have that information as well on our local website at unitynaples.org. Know that we have a prayer chaplain consciousness on site that we are here and available for you as well. Please join us. If not tonight, tomorrow night, locally at Unity Naples for our closing 24-hour vigil. Our closing in honor of the 24-hour vigil. And I will be facilitating a prayer class at Unity Naples in late September. And we're going to be talking about the power of prayer all month long. So please tune in. And in the meantime, I'm just going to ask everybody in wherever you are and in your consciousness to just bless Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You are truly a blessing, not only to us, but to the world. I know that your work is ordained with divine audacity, that it shifts and transforms the world, and that your power and love and presence go forth from here, serving not only the world, but your inner world, your family, all are blessed. And then I just say a word of gratitude and thanksgiving for this time together, that wherever we are, there has been an intimacy shared, and that an answered prayer of connection, of belonging, of a sense of insight and understanding, that we are all holy and beloved children of the Most High, and that we go forth from here multiplying the consciousness of love, of peace, of joy. And that is our prayer, that we turn to Spirit in us and all around us, in and around our brothers and sisters, and we see the light and love of God everywhere. We see a world anew. This is what I know. This is what I claim. This is how I bless us. This is how I am grateful. And I know that this word returns fulfilled. It's already done in the mind of God. We simply allow it and let it to be. And so it is. Amen and amen. Thank you, Reverend Linda.
Blessings to you and to Unity of Naples.